we do this, be the truest. Got these bangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Yeah, hello, audience. Welcome to a new night of the Ghoulish Show. I am Max Booth. Thank you to everyone who came out and who clapped, specifically of those who clapped. It's a hot one tonight. I'm really grateful everyone decided to come out. Bring yourselves, bring little dogs, great wonderful dogs. Really appreciate seeing that. I hope the Instagram photos are worth it. I can't wait to see them. Welcome to the show, folks. I'm being looked at with a hatred right now, and I love it. It's what I live on, is hatred. So if you've never been to one of these shows before, that's okay. That's okay. It's just a monthly show we do. We have people come up, they do readings. Some of them are funny, some of them are spooky. Sometimes it's erotic. You never know what's going to happen at the Ghoulish Show. So I just want to go ahead and introduce my sidekick, Death. Every good talk show has a sidekick, and my talk show has the best sidekick, and that is Death. Whoa! Death, you look different.
Death is on vacation. It's too hot for the road, Max.
Are you on vacation, or is it just too hot? Which one is it?
It's both. I'm going to Hawaii tomorrow.
It's pretty cool. Are you flying out of San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the thing in the news about that guy who got ingested at the San Antonio Hilbert?
I didn't. Please tell me.
I was just told about this not that long ago. I guess recently a man was out on the cement. He was doing something, and he got, according to the news, ingested by a plane, by the engine. He just got sucked up. This is a real thing that happened. So
I didn't know that's what you meant by ingested.
that was the headline: man ingested by plane. Are you excited about what?
Check this out.
What is this, buddy?
Max, I brought you an Uncrustable. I have an Uncrustable also.
Please tell me the context of this.
Last Saturday, Death was at Ghoulish Books in San Antonio, and Death forgot that Death had Uncrustables in Death's pocket, and Death then took a major dump. Then when Death got out of the bathroom, Death then offered the Uncrustables to Max, and we ate it joyously. So Death thought we could recreate this special moment up here on stage again today.
Would you be open to us eating only one, Lady and the Tramp style?
Yes! Please!
Yes, I would be.
You try to fuck with me, I fuck with you. Do you see how this is backfired? Before we do this, we need some eyes on stage. We need people egging us on. Count us down from 10, please.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smoochies! More tongue!
We'll save it.
Your second Uncrustable!
Later.
I have some in my pocket. We will save it for the break. We have many guests coming up. Before I invite any guest up on stage to read, Miguel, Death, Miguel, same thing. Please sit down, grab a seat. I have a second sidekick scheduled today. I thought it would be interesting if I went on Craigslist and rented a small child to be on stage with us today. My child sidekick, please come up. Hello. Now, please introduce yourself. What is your name and how old are you?
My name is Dylan Branson, and I'm 15 years old.
Now, what do you think about all of this? What do you make of any of this?
Hope they don't make any swear words in their books.
Oh no. Oh.
I have to say I agree with you. Now, Dylan, thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's hot. You don't have to do anything. I just want you to sit up on stage, mind your business. If you want to be on your phone, you can be on your phone. I just want you up on stage so when anyone comes up and reads, they have a child up with them. And this is being filmed. So just keep that in mind as you read whatever you plan on reading tonight. He is only 15. Let me introduce Phil to the stage. He was recently accused of being a cop. John Baltisberger, bring that badge up on stage, buddy. John's gonna read something. I don't know if it's gonna be legal or not. But as we all know, with police, anything's legal, right? Okay, take it away.
So mad right now. There we go. I have a book coming out in August. It's called All I Want Is to Eat Shrooms and Listen to the Color of Nazi Screams. I'm going to read the first little part of that. I killed my first Nazi at 4 years old. It wasn't art. I didn't discover the joy of the psychotropic kill until much later. Each moment that led up to it was the crescendo of a future lover screaming from around the bend of time, begging for the tantric orgasm that would define our future. Every moment since has been a study in the revitalization of a honed point of ecstasy. The butcher's blade slid along a whetstone, perfecting the slice until even the most anal of rabbi would admit that it was good enough for kosher slaughter. Not every trip ends in bloodshed, but nowhere in my vocabulary are the words to define the pulse-pounding pleasure derived from making the world a better place while it drips around me like the precipitation from a rainbow-hued womb. When I was born, I could fit in the palm of your hand, but my penis was the size of a man's thumb. And in January of 1984, as the water goat chased Fenrir through the star-studded sky, my mother's blood... Delightful. Lost my place.
My mother's thumb.
My mother's blood ended its infanticidal war against my in utero occupation. Though there were no casualties in the war, I was ousted from the place in which I had grown far too early before the leaves fell from the trees and I had thoroughly baked into the child I should have been. I was born into a world that allowed evil to exist as a comfort for those who had money and power, who siphoned off the good and reconditioned its people to accept pain as currency in its stead. My parents, a Buddhist artist who worked with the visually impaired, as a teacher and a caterer who demoed canned yellow tomatoes at our local grocery store. They were as incompatible a couple as my blood was with my mother's. But they strove to create something greater than themselves, and in their insanity, they made me. I spread my arms and screamed a wordless scream that resounded through the hospital and up into heaven. I am Samael, born in the flesh of a flawed child. I am he who makes the wind whip and the world quake. And then I slept, my dreams sleeping with me, waiting to be unlocked by mycelium alarm clocks. There's Uncrustable all up in my grill. This is hell.
Is that written?
Yeah, that right here, coming out in August. A child of back and forth with no pillow, thoughts fixated in my memory, a permanence not allowed in the fixtures of my youth. When youth is torn between parents who should never have come together, has finally realized the truth. It didn't take me long to fall in line with inconsistent roles in reality, to understand that reality itself was inconsistent. Why worry about what an angry father thought when the mother forgave? Why deal with a controlling mother when the father's house allowed for a freedom that only father's sons were ever given? And when all else failed, and they failed to watch a child growing up, I was carted to Sour Lake, to the Pine Woods, to the eastern edge of Texas, to stay with grandparents who understood unconditional love better than any human could or would show. Still, carefree was far away, and the pain of life pressed in from an early age, leading me to seek escape wherever I could find it. I looked in books, in video games, and any egress from truth I could find. I didn't understand until later that truth was a deeper thing that went deep below the skull and could only be witnessed and unlocked by chemical-induced joy. I was in third grade when the depression hit. I imagined a world of grays and blacks where I was unloved, as I felt. Where loneliness and loneliness of being an only child extended through every fiber of my being. I imagined leaping from the radio tower next to Matthews Elementary and landing on the twisted barbed wire top fence that surrounded it. Not an easy or quick death. Momentum ripped by metal and leading intestines ripped down chain links to boiling Texas cement, but somehow it seemed easier than a knife in a bathtub. And I didn't know how to tie knots yet. I was in 7th grade when my dog's vet convinced me to spend the night with him and his brother. We watched Lost in Space in theaters while they held hands and giggled. I stayed up late, not wanting to join them in the room they offered to share, postponing what I was afraid would come to pass, Yoshi's Island keeping me safe for a time. I came back from that changed. I stopped dreaming and I began to understand that escapes needed to be deeper than the surface level that the games and books brought me, that I needed something that would devour me completely. I wrote poetry and I took my first trip. I remember my first trip through the hole of elusive reality, through the holes like glimpsing the past through cigarette burns and photos of dead relatives. In Austin, drugs aren't hard to find or attain. A careless word to the right person got you handed the wrong thing, and they were more concerned with keeping it weird than they were with safety, more obsessed with image and ritual than with the sanctity of innocence, until it was so far lost in the mire of despair that weirdness became your only shield against the world to hide the face you had lost. What will you have? That you had lost. What will you had to have a personality? LSD on sugar cubes. I don't drink my tea with sugar, but I didn't know what else to do. So after my parents went to sleep, I microwaved a cup of water, dropped in some chamomile, teabagged 1 sugar cube, 2 sugar cubes. It smelled like sleep in waves that came battling at my consciousness, but I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want that dark nothing that led to waking in tears, knowing that the dreams still came and I would never experience them again.
What was that from?
So that is from, oh, thank God, thank you.
I don't know. Oh, thank God, thank you. Is that a new book of yours?
That is from my upcoming book from Planet Bizarro Books. All I want is to eat shrooms and listen to the color of Nazi screams. Oh, thank you. It is a partially fictionalized autobiography.
Okay. Now, what can you tell us about this book besides that? It's about you, I assume.
Yeah, so it's about me growing up in Texas, doing a copious amount of hallucinogenic drugs and murdering bigots and predators.
Specifically mushrooms?
Mushrooms, yeah, mostly mushrooms. I am a enthusiast.
Now, I recall a while back, you and I were going to meet in San Antonio, and you were like, there's this amazing mushroom restaurant in San Antonio that we have to go to. You loved it. You kept saying we had to go to the mushroom place. And I'm Googling, I don't know what you're talking about. You tell me the name of this place, and I look it up. It is not, as you claimed, a mushroom-themed restaurant. It is a restaurant
simple
that has one mushroom dish.
You
that you just
plebeian idiot. Did you think that was the actual restaurant? No, there's a door behind the dumpster. You go down to a small secret pop-up.
No, because this is San Antonio and there's no basements.
There is.
Nah.
There is.
Have you seen Pee-wee?
I've seen your Pee-wee.
There's a child next to you.
I'm pretending there's not.
I mean, that's Neville Wilkes for anyone.
Oops.
Shout out to Second Life Threats. One Pilson got that joke, and that's okay. Well, John, what else do you have going on? What do you have to promote? You have a lot of things going on.
I have a stand of books and games over there. I design games. I write books. Most of them are splattery. A lot of blood. A lot of mysticism and occultism. That's what I do.
How many ghoulish shows have you gone to at this point? All of them?
I think I missed 2.
Why do you keep coming back? Like, what is it? I realize how that sounds. What is it about this event that you will not sick of at this point? I'm sick of it.
All my friends are here.
Aww.
And like,
Aww.
like look, hey, you got, all of you are here by accident, right? You didn't know this shit was gonna happen, right? Everyone here is a great writer, and they tell crazy stories. Like, there's nothing like the indie literature scene anywhere else.
We do this show once a month, the last Tuesday of every month. And why is that funny?
It wasn't, I'm just joking.
All right. We do have books for sale. Everyone who's filming tonight, I believe, has a book they've written on that table. And we will be doing it a little intermission after 3 guest performers. So if you want to go buy anything, feel free to do that. Buy some booze, leave a tip. John, get off the stage.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was one. I don't even know how many we have tonight. It's going to be unpredictable. Next up, because I just made eye contact with him, Ryan C. Bradley, come up to the stage and read something probably not appropriate to be read next to a child.
Definitely not. I'll be talking a lot less about my penis this month, though. So probably a little... We're talking a lot about John's, but this one's called Double or Nothing.
Penises?
Don't lie. Every time you hear that Charlie Daniels Band song, you think I would ask for something way cooler than a fiddle made out of gold. Like, seriously, what are the acoustic qualities of gold? That fucker would sound like a sheep caught in a garbage disposal. Chet was a good Christian boy and at least 10 times smarter than Charlie Daniels. He'd ask for 100 pounds of regular gold bricks if he could beat the devil at couch basketball, a game of Chet's invention where he threw the dirty tissues from his perpetual runny nose into the trash can. Chet's couch tipped a little to the left as the devil, presenting as the kind of roided out red dude you'd find on the cover of a metal album from the 80s, lined up his last dirty tissue. He had perfect form as he airmailed it into the trash cans. The devil cackled. The lights in the room darkened. He boomed. "Your soul belongs to me now, Chet." "Double or nothing," Chet yelled. The devil squinted at him. The lights came back up. In a more human voice, he said, "Do you have a second soul?" Chet scanned the room. Jesus looked down from the cross above the TV, disappointment furrowing his brow. Mrs. Flufferpants wandered into the room. "My dog!" "Dude," the devil said. "What? I don't want to go to hell," Chet said, feeling a little self-conscious now. "You can't bet Mrs. Flufferpants' soul." Mrs. Flufferpants, the Bijan, came over to the devil, who scritched her between the ears. She pushed her head back against the devil for more. "She's my dog. I'm her steward or whatever the fuck. It says that shit in the Bible." Chet pulled his good book out of the drawer on his coffee table and flipped toward the section of Genesis. "You're really committed to this betting your dog's soul? And I get 200 pounds of gold if I win." Chet dropped the Bible. "I only lost last time because I didn't have enough Cheeto powders on my finger." The devil's hand engulfed Mrs. Flufferpants' entire back as he pet her. "Come on, what are you going to do with a gold in hell anyways? Are there shops?" The devil sighed. "There's a couple of microwave-to-plate restaurants with zany Americana wall decor. If you win, you get my soul and Mrs. Flufferpants' soul. Imagine how happy your boss or whatever would be if you came back with 2 today." "Look, Chet, I'm the devil and I'm telling you, that's fucked up. Think about that for a second. I'll throw in my grandma, too." "What?" "She's dying. She's got like less than 6 months left. And you want to bet her soul? You aren't even good at couch basketball," the devil said. "I can't go to hell. I'll do anything. Give me one more chance. You get me, Mrs. Flufferpants' grandma? I bet I can get my girlfriend to put her soul on the line, too. I think I'm gonna break up with her soon anyways." "Bro, no one is asking you to bet anyone else's soul. You're not allowed to do that." Chet groaned. How did I get saddled with the only rule-following devil in hell? If I'm being totally honest, that's kind of offensive. Everyone is always taking pot shots at us, but I didn't devise a system where 80% of people suffer for eternity for things that are beyond their control. I mean, come on, please. 3 souls. We don't even need to play. 1 shot. If I make it, I get the gold. If I miss, I'll go with you, along with Mrs. Flufferpants, Grandma, and my girlfriend. The dog turned away from Chet when he said her name. Chet sat back down and picked up a dirty tissue and lined up his shot. "Stop," the devil said. Chet burst into tears. "I can't go to hell. My mom is going to be so mad." The devil stood up and scooped up the dog. "I'm not going to take you to hell." "You're taking Mrs. Flufferpants in my place?" "Fuck no," the devil said. "I'm taking the dog because she's a sweetheart. And you we don't want. The place is full, no vacancies. So what'll happen to me? A piece of shit like you belongs in heaven with the evangelicals. The end.
Whoa. That was rough, man. This child the whole time behind you.
Dylan, were you listening? Yes, I was. Did you hear the words? Yes. Why did you listen?
What did he say?
Can you tell me?
He said the F word, he said a lot of F words.
Oh my god.
Did you count how many?
How many?
3 separate bad words?
You're not good at math.
3 times.
Well, a lot of the things you read are based on true stories. Last time you read something about a bee stinging you on the dick. What can you say about this one?
This one was not a true story.
Oh, okay. What was the genesis of it? That was a Bible pun.
That was a good Bible pun. Just
Thank
think
you.
about the concept of double or nothing bets, and why no one ever bets Satan for double if they lose their soul.
Do you bet? Are you a gambling man?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever gambled in your life?
I mean, a couple of times. I feel like most gambling is just like a stupid tax, though.
Yeah, every time I drive, it's a gamble, right?
That's true, but not like one you can really win very much.
Yeah.
You could just die badly.
I mean, depending how you like life, that might be a win.
Yeah, that's true.
That brings me to my sidekick, Death. Yeah, you might have things to say about gambling with life.
No.
No follow-up questions at all. Nothing to say. How's the Crustable?
I finished it. John took Death's last little bit.
It was delicious.
I noticed you kept coughing as Ryan was reading. Is Death capable of coughing? What's going on with that?
Death wanted him to finish.
You just got roasted by Death, Ryan. How does that make you feel?
Bad.
You have a book on the table for sale. It's called Saint's Blood. Tell us about that.
Saint's Blood is the story of a college professor who gets kidnapped by a family in Oklahoma, a family of one of the students, and they're torturing him and they're draining his blood. He doesn't know why, and he's trying to escape.
Now, is that based on anything that you've encountered in real life?
I mean, I was a college professor in Oklahoma for 3 years, so kinda.
Nice. You're at in Oklahoma. Tulsa?
I was in Tulsa, yeah.
Only place anyone knows in Oklahoma.
I mean, there's Oklahoma City, too. They got an NBA team.
Oklahoma City's in Oklahoma?
I thought it was in Kansas.
Alright, that's enough. Get off the stage. Well, this is going well. Next, hold on. You feel like bring up anyone up? You feel like bring up anyone else? Cut that. Just want to say thanks for coming down to the Ghoulish Show. It's not every episode that we eat hot Crustables on stage, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I do want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by Crustable. We will pay to eat those on stage quite handsomely. So if you go to the grocery store and you see any in the frozen food section, think, those guys at that show, they ate them too. Maybe you might buy some. Maybe we might get a kickback. Don't know. Next up, Michael Lewis Dixon. Come on, quick, run! He's filming this show as well, so I think it's funny to add pressure to him. Let's go!
All right, so I had to come up with this one today. It's called Time Flies, the accents on time. Oh man, there are so many things that have changed for me over the years. So many. It's just one of those facts about life that are hard to appreciate until you've been around a while. Everything changes all the time. Nothing ever stops changing. I think the thing that really points that out for me, that really drives home the point, is my grown-up kids. Their paths are their own now, but it seems like they were only just little things running around the house not that very long ago. I mean, really. Where has the time gone? I remember working in the basement on my latest project, and those little monsters would be running around upstairs, their little feet thudding across the floor above, shaking the house. The basement light hanging from a wire, swinging a bit from the ruckus. Shadows dancing around my work. Little scatterings of dust drifting down from the exposed boards over my head. Sure, it made me a little angry that I had this noise and distraction and that dust getting into my project. But how could anyone stay angry at such unashamed joy? I couldn't say anything. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't. They had no idea I was down there. They didn't even know we had a basement. It's where I did my work, not something a little kid needs to think about. I just kept right on with my task as if nothing was going on above me. Even when the whole living room set got flipped and tossed about the room, the banging, chunks of plaster coming down with the dust, and still I said nothing. Nothing. Kids gotta be kids, right? What do they call those days? What's the term? Oh yeah, salad days. Yeah, those were their salad days. An age of carefree innocence. What did it matter if we lost the occasional window, couch, or, I don't know, babysitter? It wasn't a big deal. They were all so young. They hadn't even developed enough yet to have any sort of independence. And once they hit that pupa stage, everything changes, gets more serious. Until then, though, you gotta let them enjoy their youth while they still have it. So I just tuned it out and kept right on working. No matter how loud they're giggling, shrieking, or squealing, or screaming, I kept my head down to prevent the debris from getting into my eyes, smiling to myself while I snipped, sliced, sawed away at whatever was my current project. Nothing else to do. Sure, there was that whole fiasco with the social workers. I think one of the neighbors got their wires crossed and misunderstood some childish silliness. I'm sure to a stranger, my kids could come off as a bit brash. But they're kids, right? They don't need to make sense with everything they do. The whole world is a new experience. They have to embrace it in a way that best suits them. There will be plenty of time when they're older to get more serious about things before rules take over everything. So yeah, things tended to get a bit rowdy at times. I guess if you don't have much experience with kids, you might mistake those sounds as child abuse. But it wasn't my kids that were getting hurt. I guess I can't blame my neighbor all that much though. Like I said, to the untrained ear, fun and joy might sound kind of awful. The social workers though, they do not mess around. They get straight to business and tell you exactly why they're there. And no matter how much you try and dissuade them from seeing the kids, they gotta do what they gotta do. The kids love them. Each and every one. Saved me groceries for about a month or so. Anyhow, those days are long over before you even know it. For me, right at the end there, right before they reached the pupa stage, I even had to barricade myself in the master bedroom for a few days. Good thing it has its own bathroom. The pupa stage is forever though, am I right? You parents know. All the drama is just over with. Each and every day is a whopping big nothing much to see here. It's like nothing and more nothing on top of nothing. Then years later, it's suddenly emergence night. Wow, where is the time gone? What are they going to be hungry for? I'm thinking one pizza won't be enough. Anyone want to come over and watch the emergence with me?
Shake Death's hand.
Every day.
So tell us about this story you just read. You just wrote it, you said?
Yeah, I wrote it today because most of my stuff isn't funny, and I wanted to come up with something a little bit funny.
So is this based on Is this based on anything from your life?
Parenthood.
Yeah, you have kids.
They're monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Can't be helped.
I mean, it
Well,
could be.
They could be helped.
Tablets. Death, what do you have to say about children? You have a book called Sick, Michael.
I have a book called Sick.
Tell us about Sick.
Sick is over there. It's a fungal body horror novel, kind of a perverted fungal body horror novel. Gets pretty extreme at points, but I consider it kind of literary as well.
Would you be okay with a child, like the one sitting next to you, reading it?
Absolutely, 100% new. NC-17.
All right. Again with the mushrooms, I'm noticing a theme tonight. Lots of mushroom talk.
Yeah, but that's the way of the future, right?
I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Mycelium network.
If you say so.
We're all gonna connect together.
Well, I'll tell you guys something. This has been interesting. We have 3 more people to come up. 3 more professionals to read. But before that happens, we're going to take a 10-minute break beginning right now. A 10-minute break. So if you want to buy, and don't fucking clap yet, God damn it! I'm still talking. If you want to buy anything from the table at all, you know, we have books. You can meet the authors. You can talk to them. They can sign things. You got to go to the bathroom. You're going to buy a drink. 10 minutes. We will be back with 3 more readings, and then that will be the end of the show. And then you can go home. You can sit on the couch. You can sit. You can lean back, and you can think, haha, I was involved in that tonight. You can buy a Crustable, not from us. We ate them all, but you can go to HEB maybe, buy some. Use a discount code if you go to the checkout section. If you tell the cashier discount code GHOULISH, you will get a discount. I promise you. See you in 10 minutes. I don't think. Okay, we're doing this
How we
again.
do this? You're the truest.
Strike the pose!
Got these fangs super sharp, you're so toothless.
I'm like a ghoulish Jesus.
Yeah, we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Gonna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah, we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
It's a work in progress. We haven't practiced enough. Welcome back to the show. I hope you had fun doing whatever you did. But now the show is back, and I hope you are as excited as I am. Because I am so excited. Oh my God, I'm excited. Yeah! Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Next up is a person who is walking up to the stage now. Her name is Lily Michelle. She has a dress on and new shoes. Please compliment the shoes. Brand new shoes she just got. She's gonna read something. I don't know what she's gonna read, but she's gonna read.
Yes, I'm short. What of it? Hi, I'm Lori Michelle, now Lori Michelle Booth. It's changed on the Social Security card. It's getting changed on the license right as we speak. Next will be the bank account. All right, once upon a time I used to write, for those of you who don't know. This is back from 2012. I might have to put my glasses on because it's getting dark up here.
Silence. Just what every show wants. Silence. Okay.
All right, so I can't see the audience now, so if I look at you, Fezzy, it's because I can see the words on the page. Okay, this is a story called You Should Have. Henry Jones liked order. His clothes had to hang in the closet a certain way. His coffee had to be made just right. Anything that disrupted his schedule was immediately loathed. This OCD-esque perfection drove everyone crazy, and it wasn't surprising that Henry lived alone. So when he found out his secretary had to take a personal leave, He wandered through the bank in a haze. That's when she walked into his life. He saw her across the room and tried not to stare. She had an air about her that he hadn't seen in a woman in a long time. She looked over at him and smiled. He was taken aback now by how confident she was. He smiled back and walked over to her. "Can I help you, miss?" "Williams, Clarissa Williams. I'm looking for Henry Jones. I have an appointment with him at 12 o'clock. "Well, you're in luck, Miss Williams. You found him." They shook hands, the sexuality exuding from her pores and pressing him. It was as if she knew she was in complete control of the situation. "So nice to meet you, Mr. Jones. Please, call me Henry." He led her to his office and sat her down on one of the chairs, never once letting go of her hand. He wasn't sure where this act of chivalry came from, since he had never done this for anyone else who would walk through the doors. "So what can I do for you, Miss Williams?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Clarissa, and I understand that you're looking for a temporary replacement for your secretary." Henry was shocked. His secretary just told him yesterday that she needed to take a leave of absence for a couple of months. "How did you know?" "That's not important. I just know that you need someone, and I can use the temporary work." "Well," Henry said, clearing his throat, "tell me a little about yourself, Miss Clarissa." "I am familiar with the inner workings of a bank office since I worked at Dunder Holtzcraft as Mr. Dunder's secretary for several years. I left the position just a few years back to pursue my own writing career. But recently, I found myself needing to have more public interaction and some ideas for my next book. So when I heard about this opportunity, I decided to call you up." She shifted in her chair to expose her cleavage, and Henry tried not to stare. She was poised, confident, sensual, and he was instantly drawn to her. "You're a writer, Miss Williams?" "Yes, I use a pseudonym, Callie LaRue. Perhaps you've heard of me." Henry swallowed. Callie LaRue was the most famous mystery writer of the last decade. He was ashamed to admit that he had never read anything by her, but here she was, sitting in front of him in all her glory. She slowly uncrossed and recrossed her legs, reminding him of that scene in Basic Instinct. He felt himself go flush. "Yes, Miss LaRue, I have heard of you. Why would you ever be interested in being a temp job at a small bank like ours?" She smiled cat-like. "I told you, I need to have some more public interaction. It's hard for me to go outside without being mobbed." She stood up slowly and walked around to his side of the desk, slowly sliding her hand up his arm. She leaned closely into his ear. "I need more experience for my next book, and I will totally make it worth your while." She kissed him softly on that space in front of his ear, and it sent shivers up his spine. He sat up a little straighter, feeling his pants get tight. She stood back up and slid her way back around to her chair. She languidly sat in it as if she had been poured. "Have you ever read any of my books, Mr. Jones?" No, I haven't." "For shame. You really ought to read my first book, Blood Lies and Velvet Thighs. That explains a lot of what I'm looking for. I'll get you a copy. John, that's the book you're publishing next."
Yes!
"I would like that, Miss LaRue." "Clarissa Williams," she corrected. "So, this is my desk out here?" Henry felt like he was in a bit of a daze. He didn't remember telling her that she had the job, but he could see no reason why she shouldn't. "What? Yeah, sure. Sorry, a bit fuzzy." Then a thought occurred to him, an idea that excited him to no end. "Yes, Miss Williams, that is your desk, but on one condition." She leaned forward, flashing her cleavage at him again. "And what is that, Mr. Jones?" She looked into her eyes. They were a gorgeous shade of violet. "That I can be a character in one of your books." She smiled. "You can be sure of that, Mr. Jones." As the next few days passed, Clarissa turned out to be an invaluable asset. She learned quickly and was organized and efficient. Yet she remained an enigma, able to turn her sexuality on and off at a whim. Just when he got used to her being brisk and efficient, she would slide her fingertips on him or put her lips close to his ear. She knew that if the tables were turned, it would be considered sexual harassment, but he liked it. Her scent intoxicated him, and he found himself wanting her more and more. He tried to control his animal urges around her, but she made it very difficult. One day, she brought a book into him. The cover showed a very voluptuous, half-naked woman holding a smoking gun. It was definitely not the type of book that he would normally read. He looked up at her and smiled. "Thank you." She leaned to him and whispered, "Read the book. It'll explain everything I'm after." Then she took his earlobe into her mouth and sucked on it gently before walking back to her desk. Oh God, how he wanted her. Later that night, he flipped through her book before tossing it aside. He didn't read much, and hers wasn't the type he would choose to read anyway. He promised her that he would read it, but today was not that day. He tried to concentrate on the basketball game in front of him, but her bewitching smile kept coming to him in a reverie. The next day they were sitting opposite sides of the desk. He dictated as she furiously wrote down the words he wanted written. When he was finished, he watched her face scowl slightly as she wrote down the last few lines. He had a vision of his hands roaming her body and smiled at the thought of touching her. You ever think about death, Henry? What? He said quickly, coming out of his daydream. Death. Do you ever think about it? No, well, probably, but I don't like to think about it. Why? Sorry, Death. I think about it all the time. I wonder what it would feel like to be shot or stabbed. She got up and started walking around the desk. Can you imagine what it must feel like to know that you're going to die? Her arms slid down him, and soon she was giving him a hug in reverse. Knowing that the breath was going to be choked from your throat, can you imagine what terror must go through your mind? Henry's heart started beating faster, wondering exactly where she was going with her train of thought. He was scared and turned on by her at the same time. Her arms started to get tighter around his neck, and he gulped. What exactly do you have in mind, Clarissa? She laughed and turned his chair around so they were facing one another. Just wondered if you had ever thought about it. I think about it all the time, but it's also what I get paid to do. She leaned in and kissed him lightly on the lips. You read my book yet? No, he said and kissed her back. You should kiss. I know, kiss. It'll kiss, show you kiss, when I'm kiss after kiss. They kissed deeply and Henry felt intoxicated. Clarissa stood up. Is there anything else, Mr. Jones? No, that'll be all right now, Miss Williams. She left the room and he wondered where the death talk had come from. She was definitely different. He craved her. Knowing these were not the thoughts that a bank manager should have, he tried to work on something else, but found it impossible to get her off his mind. He wondered what kind of spell she cast over him. After work, he went to the bar for a drink, attempting to drive away the taste of her lips. He wasn't an avid drinker, but he liked to stop by every once in a while to relax. He was joined by other executives who came in to mellow out. Today, his stockbroker friend Jeff was here as well, and Henry sat down next to him. Hey Jeff, how's the market? Not bad, a bit bearish, but nothing we haven't been through before. I hear you lost Janice to a freak accident. Yeah, her husband fell while skiing and he's in traction. She took a leave of absence. Dude, I know how much you relied on her to take care of the office. Have things fallen apart yet? No. Funny enough, I got a temp replacement that very next day. Henry smiled slightly as he thought of Clarissa and the way she walked. Hey Jeff, you ever heard of the author Kelly LaRue? Yeah, I've been trying to get her to invest for a few years now, but she's a tough one to get an appointment with. Why do you ask? My new secretary is entranced with her, and I wonder what her writing was like. Jeff nudged Henry in the ribs. I see, you want to get your new secretary in the sack and are trying to impress her. Henry blushed. No. Jeff laughed. Man, it's okay, we all want to bang our secretaries. I read one Kelly LaRue book, but my wife is addicted to them. She says they are empowering to a woman, whatever that means. But I remember there was a lot of sex, murder, and violence in the one I read. It wasn't bad, just not very masculine. I didn't figure it was the sort of thing I would like, Henry said. You really have it bad for her, don't you? She's very different. Jude, you've got to get out more. Max and I are going to the club later. You want to come? No, I'm going to go home and see if I can get some sleep. Tell your wife I said hi. When he got home, he popped open another beer. He grabbed the book he had been given, thinking he might try to read some of it. He wanted to know just what made the mysterious woman in the office tick, and perhaps the clue to getting to know her was in the pages of this novel. Yawning deeply, he knew that realistically he was not going to read anything, but the drunk part of him knew that he would find the real Clarissa Williams in the pages he held in his hands. He opened the book and tried to concentrate on the words in front of him, but they were nothing more than a blur. He knew that he saw some words about a woman in a garter belt with a whip, but the rest was lost. He opened his eyes, and Clarissa was standing in front of him, wearing nothing more than a few leather straps strategically placed. She was brandishing a whip, which she cracked tear-sided enthusiasm. Henry, she called. Henry, you've been a bad, bad boy. She cracked the whip. What did I do, Clarissa? He said, slurring his words. You know what it is I want. No, Clarissa, I don't. I want to be good for you. All I ask is for one thing, Henry. I'll do anything for you, Clarissa, anything at all. You should read my book. It'll show you what I am after. I'm trying, he whimpered. Try harder, she whipped him, and he felt the metal spikes dig into his chest. You need to try harder, Henry. He cried in horror as he awoke with a start, grabbing his chest in relief. The next day, Henry went to work, knowing he looked like hell. His head pounded. He heard Clarissa show up and put a call through to her desk. Mr. Jones' office, she said. It's just me, Clarissa, he said in a hoarse whisper. Why, Mr. Jones, you sound horrible. Is everything okay? Yeah, rough night. Can you just divert my calls? Of course I can. Sorry, I've lost my place. A few minutes later, she came in, giving him a steaming mug of liquid. Here, drink this, she said, placing the liquid in front of him. He looked at her painfully, trying to keep his head from pounding. It'll help. Trust me. He sipped it and instantly felt better. It's a family recipe. My mom used to make it for my dad and my grandmother and her mother, and so on. Funny enough, the more Henry drank, the better he began to feel. What are you, some sort of witch? She smiled and took the cup from him. I know how to make you feel better, she said. I'm going to skip ahead real quick. Because I have a child next to me.
No, none of us did.
Yeah, I know, but he's my child, so. So they go to dinner.
It's in the word to be speak. Bring up the man.
Yeah. All right, so they go to her house after dinner. He was nervous about what's going to happen next, but his animal instinct was getting to take over. She handed him a glass of wine, and he quickly gulped it down. Clarissa, shh, no more talking. She leaned in to kiss him as he returned the favor. He began to grow dizzy from her hands and his body and the kissing. She led him into the bedroom. He followed willingly and made no protest when she began to undress him and laid him back on the bed. Her hands were very skillfully playing with his body, and her mouth was no different. Yeah, I know. But Henry found it harder and harder to concentrate, and the next thing he knew, Clarissa had him handcuffed to the headboard. He looked down at her as she sat straddled over him. What are you doing, Clarissa? He said, trying to stifle a small yawn. I thought you had read the book. I read part of it, but nothing ever about handcuffs. Then you didn't read very far. She pulled out a knife. Henry tried to wiggle his way free, but she had locked him up good. Jesus, Clarissa, what are you going to do with me? I need you to describe it to me. Describe what? What it feels like, she says, and she jabbed the knife into him. Tell me what it's like to be stabbed. Henry felt a searing pain. Oh, God damn it! What the F are you doing? Tell me, Henry. Describe what it feels like. I need to know. Clarissa licked her lips hungrily. It hurts. What the hell do you think? She slid the knife across his chest, making an incision. How does that feel? Does it hurt as bad? Henry felt fire as his skin was torn apart by the tip of the blade. Clarissa, why are you doing this to me? I told you, Henry. I need to know to make it more realistic. So which one is worse, the stabbing or the slicing? She stabbed him again. Bright white lights blurred his vision, and he tried to form the words to make her stop again, but no sound came out. Come on, Henry, quit being such a baby. Tell me what it feels like. Henry closed his eyes as he attempted to will the pain away and tried to gain enough strength to get her off of him. She wasn't very big, but he found himself helpless against her. Well, since you won't tell me about those, maybe you'll tell me about this. Henry pried his eyes open just in time to see her jam the knife into his abdomen. He never felt such a searing pain before, and felt nauseated at the sawing motion she was making across his stomach. Oh, God. Would you say the pain is more intense at the beginning, or when I saw across this way? Clarissa, please. Come on, Henry. I need to know what the pain feels like, so I can describe it realistically in my next book. I thought you were going to help me. Clarissa, oh, God, please stop. She slid her hand into his abdomen. Ooh, I didn't know it'd be so warm. Henry swallowed as another wave of nausea rushed over his body. He watched in a haze of red pain as she gleefully began to pull out his intestines. Knowing he didn't have much more time, since his insides were now strewn across the bed, he tried to beg for her to stop one more time. Clarissa, he whispered, why? She came up close to him, and his eyes looked in hers one last time. I really thought you would be the one, Henry. I told you, you should have read my book. Then you would have known.
Sit down. We have to examine the fact that this is what you decided to read with the child present.
Well, I mean, you know, look at what everybody else has read.
I do also find it interesting you chose to skip to the bedroom scene.
Well, the other part wasn't necessarily important.
I wish sometimes other people would do that. So, what is this you read? What was it published in? What was the context of it?
It was published back in 2012 in an anthology called Now I Lay Me Down to Reap. I don't know if this is still available or not, but I find it very sad that I look at the authors on the back and I don't recognize a single name anymore.
That's called the dementia.
Oh, that's not what that's called.
What else do you have going on? What are you looking on right now? What do you have coming out soon? What magazines are you in the process of formatting, perhaps?
I am the co-owner of Ghoulish Books. We are getting ready to get our first issue of the Ghoulish magazine out. So
Ghoulish Tales.
Ghoulish Tales, so look for that. I'm also just trying to keep Ghoulish going. Keep Ghoulish going.
I'm told you recently opened a bookshop. Tell me about that.
We did. We recently opened a bookshop, and we're trying to get people to come in and buy our books, buy books that we have there.
What's the bookshop called and where is it located?
What? It's called Ghoulish Books. It's down in Selma, Texas, which is right north of San Antonio.
I like that you specified Texas.
Oh, yes. Well, just in case somebody thought Selma, Alabama or something.
What's the zip code?
78154.
Now, this town, Selma, doesn't even have its own unique zip code. Is that
does
right?
not. No, it's shared.
It's just
zip
that
code
small.
insurance, yeah,
Interesting.
it is.
Well, get off the stage, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah! What a night this has been. We have two new people coming up. We have a guy named Andrew coming up next, and then I'm going to read something. I usually don't, but why not? It's my last night in Texas for several weeks. I am leaving the state tomorrow. Maybe I'll never come back. I probably will. I have a bookshop to open. But until then, let's have Andrew Hilbert come up to the stage and read something. Andrew recently wrote a book called Excrement Mountain. We have copies of it full sale at the table. I published it. And now he's going to read something not from that.
Well, I got some good news. I was recently contracted by Sega. Sega. This is news, everybody.
Sega the company.
Sega the company. Sonic. Dreamcast was a glorious failure, but they're making Dreamcast 2. News to everybody here. And I was contracted to write the launch games, folks. So I'm gonna read a little bit Dreamcast 2. Sonic woke up old one day, as we all do. Getting old is gradual, sure, but Sonic had a moment in the mirror. He never stared at his reflection for longer than it took to check his teeth after brushing them. But this day was different. Sonic noticed the wrinkles, the graying blue hairs, the sagging tits resting atop a very round belly. He looked down and could only see the tops of his toes. His dick floated somewhere down there under the gravity of his belly. In his bedroom, Princess Peach, but now she was sun-dried, less sweet, never wet. In his head, referred to her as Princess Prune. She was asleep, probably dreamed out Mario, the plumber she called to get her pipes worked on back in the day. Sonic stole everything from Mario to the point that Mario tried to drive himself off Rainbow Road. It was a red turtle shell Sonic himself threw that stopped him from getting the speed he needed to end it all. Sonic, you stole everything from me, Mario! He cried into Sonic's elbow, mustache caked with snot. You even steal my death! Sonic felt bad in the days of Sega does what Nintendo don't, but it wasn't long until Mario was back on his feet. He lost weight, started his own business, and became an even bigger star. Sonic was stuck with himself, his own body, the never-ending decline of the products he represented, Princess Peach and 15 kids that would always disappoint him. Sonic truly loved Tails. Tails was his only friend, but Sonic could hardly see past the mountain of cocaine on his desk at the time. Tails flew out on him, abandoned him, started hanging around Knuckles. Sonic creeped on his profile on Instagram every now and then. Tails and Knuckles were pretty famous in the extreme anal sex game. Their handle, Knuckles Deep Tails. Good for them. Sonic couldn't get over himself. Haruki Satomi, CEO of Sega, still called Sonic up just to make sure he wasn't dead. Today, though, Sonic called Haruki. Haruki, what time is it over there? Slow down, you're going too fast. Haruki had hearing problems. I gotta go fast. There was a long pause. Haruki didn't even recognize Sonic's American catchphrase. What is it, Sonic? Hear me out. Dreamcast 2. We don't do hardware anymore. Whatever happened to Sega do what Nintendo don't? Sega makes shovelware for pennies on the dollar. Come on, I know a guy. Andrew Hilbert. Big fat oaf out in Austin, Texas. Utterly obsessed with me. He can come up with a few launch titles. They'll be cheap to make because he can hardly finish the story. I want to be a star again. For you, Haruki said, anything. They both hung up without saying goodbye. They had a singular mission now. Get Andrew Hilbert to shit out some low-concept trash for Sega to cash in on a Dreamcast 2. It wouldn't be hard because, I don't know if you've noticed, Andrew Hilbert has already started.
Incredible.
Thank you.
How did you feel when you were contacted to make the Dreamcast 2?
I felt pretty good. I've been learning Japanese, and I said, "Watashi wa Hirubata-san."
What does that mean?
It means I am Mr. Hilbert. And they were very impressed with my Japanese.
So, if you had to describe what Dreamcast 2 is, what would you say?
Well, you got your PlayStation 4s and you got your PlayStation 5s. And you got your Xbox Ones and your Xbox Series S or Series X. And Sega decided, with me at the helm of their creative process, that Dreamcast 2 would be perfect timing for their resurgence as a video game hardware creator.
I don't think you answered the question.
What was the question again?
What is Dreamcast 2?
Dreamcast 2 is the sequel to Dreamcast. And if you know anything about Dreamcast, you know that it was the technical marvel of the time.
Yeah.
Some would say when they were at the Best Buy playing a Dreamcast 1, they got to play the demo of Sonic Adventure. And children would say, wow, this is more than 3D. This is 4D. And so Dreamcast 2 brings it into the realm of 5D.
I never played Dreamcast. What other games were like the big titles when they were launched?
Oh my gosh. You had Sonic Adventure. You had Sonic Adventure 2. You had Jet Set Radio. You had Crazy Taxi. But quite honestly, my favorite of the Dreamcast titles was Power Stone, a Capcom game that started off in the arcade. That was a very fun fighting game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You've been drawing Sonics a long time now. What is it about Sonic you were so fascinated by?
I am fascinated by Sonic in that he goes very fast. But the thing about going very fast is you can't go very fast for too long. You get old. You grow a belly. You have your vices. You cannot go too fast for too long. And I feel like Sonic needs to change with his own body. And I feel like being a body means that you have to accept your own limitations. And I feel like Sega, and they agree with me, Haruki Satomi, he does, he agrees with me. Sonic needs to represent his aging demographic that appreciates Sonic. Now he has a beer belly and sagging titties, that rests atop them. He can now no longer see his own penis. And I feel like that would really connect with the older generation of gamers, which is a niche that Xbox and Sony and Nintendo don't.
You have a book out. Oh, Death has a question.
Death, yes, please. Ask me a question.
Death would like to know what Sonic does with all those rings.
So what, come again? What was that question? What does Sonic do with all his what?
Is Death speaking with an accent? What does Sonic do with all the rings?
Well, Sonic is a capitalist, so he acquires more rings in order to purchase more things.
What does he buy?
Well, he buys many things, like mushrooms, so that Mario, last name Mario, cannot purchase these mushrooms. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mario and Sonic have quite a rivalry.
You have a book out called Excrement Mountain.
I have a book out
Tell
called
us about it.
Excrement Mountain, spelled Xcrmntn. It is a book about a cosmic pile of poo-poo that falls upon the city of Austin, which you are all probably familiar with, and a film crew decides to go to the very top, and they lose their sanity as they trudge along. They descend into madness as they ascend the mountain.
Now with Sega 2 coming out, is there any
Dreamcast 2.
Dreamcast 2. Is there any likelihood of Dreamcast 2 adapting this book into a game? And if so, how would that play out?
I believe the game would be very similar to a Sonic game, and that it would go much more slowly. There would be no rings, there would be no mushrooms, but a team of people would climb upon the mountain very slowly and fight God himself.
Okay.
But there will be no winner. There will be no continues. There will be no reset. You have one life. And I believe that is a metaphor for all of life.
Is that true? You only have one life?
You have one life.
Oh my God.
One life to live.
Are you okay with how you've lived the life you have so far? Any regrets?
I believe that the tale of Sonic is similar to most folks in that we watch ourselves slowly devolve into the person we become.
Okay. That's it. Get off the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was cool. That was fun. I hope we have lots of Sonic fans in the audience tonight. Lots of Dreamcast fans. I'm going to read something now. If I can find, I'm going to read. Yeah, I'm going to read something from my new book, Abnormal Statistics. It's a collection of spooky stories about dysfunctional families. But before I do that, I just want to thank you again for coming out tonight to a new episode of The Ghoulish Show. This will go up on YouTube eventually. We have books for sale. Please buy some books. Get a drink. Leave a tip. Come back next month. Last Tuesday of every month. Don't laugh, Miguel. Last Tuesday of every month. We'll do it again. Maybe some different people. Who knows? I'm going to read something. I've never read it on stage, so I'm a little nervous right now, but thank you. It's appropriate because this is from the point of view of a boy. We have a boy on stage. This is called Boy Takes After His Mother. Mommy used to kill people before I was born, but I'm not supposed to talk about it, especially not at school. Kids don't know how to shut their fucking mouths, she says. I say, Mommy, I'm a kid too. And she smiles and caresses my cheek and says, I ain't like the other kids. Says I'm special as they come and don't ever forget it. She says the right person eavesdrops and the law is gonna come break us apart. Mommy says this is for my eels only and not anyone else's. Mommy says this universe is full of evil, waiting for its chance to pickle bones clean. Well, I don't want my bones clean. I like my bones just the way they are. I asked Mommy why she used to kill people, and she said there wasn't no single reason, but a multitude of reasons that piled up over time until she couldn't stand it no longer, until her brain was like a tea kettle steaming out of the wheels, and the only thing she could do to cool it down was rage on human life. Mommy says I'm not supposed to talk about her murderous past at school because no one will understand. They will just end up lighting little torches and sharpening little pitchforks and come breaking down our front door. Mommy says if I ever tell anyone what she tells me, then I'll lose her forever. I want us to stay together for the rest of time, until the sun comes crashing down and burns us all up like a big old marshmallow. I believe her when she tells me this, truly and deeply from the bottom of my heart, but that don't stop my tongue from slipping during lunch one day. Bobby had just launched an assault of spitballs against my face and was laughing like I told him the funniest joke, and I couldn't take it no more. He'd been tormenting me since Mommy enrolled me in this stupid school. Some days he'd sneak up behind me in the bathroom and pull my pants down. Some days he would wipe his snot on my neck in class. And some days he got busy with spitballs. Them spitballs, I can't stand them one lick. Bobby, I tell him, you don't quit messing with me, and I'm liable to end your life. Right here now, swear to God. This kind of response only seems to make Bobby and his friends laugh harder. So I tell him, if you think I'm joking, you have no idea what kind of mommy I got. That I learned from the best. That if you don't slit someone's throat, you gotta make sure you dig in real good and deep. You can't hold back any. You gotta slice that jugular open like the best piece of candy in the universe hiding inside. Now, everybody at the lunch table has got their eyes on me now, not moving, thinking, who is this kid with these words? Who is this alien with these threats? But Bobby, he ain't buying it. You sound fucking strange, he says. You sound like a fucking strange little faggot mommy's boy. I tell Bobby that Mama would put his face on as a mask if she caught him talking to me that way. Her last victim, my own daddy, he got much worse for just complaining about the quality of Mama's cooking. How you think she would react to these spitballs? Bobby, he's beginning to take my threats a little seriously now. I can tell by the sweat on his forehead how he smells. He smells like he's afraid. Only he can't let anyone else know. But still his voice cracks and pops when he says, "You are full of shit. Your mom ain't killed nobody." And I look him dead in his eyes and I say, my mommy has killed 100 people in her lifetime before retiring after kicking my daddy and feeding me his remains when I was just a little itty bitty baby. She had started young, almost the age I am now, with her own mommy. First it was the truck drivers, because truck drivers, they're like gnats or cockroaches. They are everywhere. They make for good practice killing. Before moving on to bigger and better targets. Targets like cops. Little mommy ain't never killed no cop, Bobby said. But he don't know my mommy now, does he? Not like I know my mommy. Mommy, she's the biggest cop killer in Texas. I tell him, back home there's a shoebox of bloody sheriff badges under my bed. She'd given them to me before my 11th birthday. Said I was a man now, and I ought to know the truth about my own breed. Every night I look at those shields, those badges, and I dream of adding to that collection. I like the way they feel in my hands. I lose my mind sometimes imagining the other hands that have held these badges. A new voice speaks up then. Cindy, the same lady who loudly said that I smelled like I'd shit my pants last week during math. Cindy, she says maybe someone should go get a teacher. Maybe somebody should go get help. This kid's obviously a freak, she says. This kid's an honest-to-God lunatic. But Bobby shakes his head. He says, what, you scared, Cindy? You scared of this fucking faggot? And Cindy hesitates before she denies it, says, nah, she ain't scared. She ain't scared one bit. But it's a lie, and I know it, and everybody knows it, because the whole lunch table, they all terrified now. Terrified, just like the universe used to be scared of mommy. I am mommy's son. I am her good boy. I am her blood. Blood, blood, blood. You ever taste blood? I asked this to the whole table, but I'm looking directly at Bobby, and I can smell a whiff of pee, and I pray to God that it's Bobby's pee. I don't care about anybody else but Bobby. I want his pants to soak, to drown. Zero in on one target. Don't stop until there's nothing left to destroy. Yes, Mommy. Yes, I know. I tell Bobby that Mommy has a scrapbook in her nightstand containing the obits of every man she's put to rest. I tell him that one time when I was supposed to sleep, I caught Mommy reading the scrapbook in bed, one hand under the sheets, moaning. My mommy, she won't hesitate to add you to her book. I'll add you Phil myself, you keep this shit up. No more spitballs, no more snot, no more calling me dumb when I get an answer wrong, no more hiding sticky foods in my backpack, no more talking, no more breathing, no more anything. Bobby says you don't have to listen to this. He don't have to listen to nobody. If my mommy killed so many people, she'd be in prison, he said. So you're full of shit. You're completely full of it, and none of us believe you. If I was full of it, how would I know the grave sites of 16 missing Dallas police officers? How would I know what the ground feels like beneath my feet? When Mommy takes me on vacation, we don't go to Disneyland or whatever the fuck. We go to real places. We go to special places. My mommy, she takes me back in time. She shows me what human beings are capable of, what they were designed to do. Your mom's a fucking psycho is what she is. Remember last night when I didn't come to school? The Nils thought I had the flu. But really? Mommy just wanted to teach me how to skin an animal. That's why the day before we spent up to 60 minutes in the pound, searching for just the right doggy. You have to begin on animals, Mommy told me. Then you move on to bigger game. Move on to the things that actually matter. Now Bobby's shaking, angry, afraid, a little mix of both. Can't tell if he's going to run away or attack me. And I am hoping, maybe even praying, he attacks me. He's done it enough times. Let him do it once more, then I'll show Mommy I'm not afraid. I'll show anybody. I'll show nobody's ever gonna push me around again. And next time I go home with a bloody nose, it's not gonna be my blood on my face. I asked Mommy once if I could be like her, if we could kill again. I never seen Mommy smile that bright in my life till that day. I never seen her so proud of her son. She rubbed my back and she said she would love nothing more. But I wasn't ready. I still ain't, she says. Well, that's what she thinks. I'm Mommy's boy. I've been ready since I was a little baby, but she just don't realize it yet. Soon she'll see, soon she'll understand and rub my back again like that first day when I asked that question. And Bobby's still talking. He's saying I ain't shit, saying I'm a little faggot and a liar. No one's ever gonna want to fuck a boy like me. Not gonna little boy who makes up lies to scare people. Well, I ain't afraid. Bobby tells me, using the crowd's laughter to egg him on. Ain't nobody scared of a little shithead like you, so why don't you just go back to your mama and suck her titty and leave us all the hell alone, he says. But I'm no longer listening to what he's saying at this point. Maybe he's talking, or maybe he's screaming now. Who's to say? The back of his head bounces against the floor, and it's like we're on a trampoline instead of held in elbow. When I reach for his face, I let Mama's words flow through me. Remember the way she said it? It was like the easiest thing ever said. Taking out a fella's eyeball, just like scraping the guts out of a jack-o'-lantern. All you needed was the right kind of determination. And determination's what I got, don't I, Mommy? The souvenir in my pocket, I leave Bobby on the ground, shaking and crying to his own mama now, and calmly walk through the crowd of kids looking at me like I'm a crazy person, like I'm some fucking monster, like I'm some kind of force of evil haunting the school. And I can't stop smiling. I've dreamed of this day. Mommy's already home when I open the door. All bags are packed on the kitchen table. The school called when she was at work, told everything that happened, and that I was missing, and that I was in big trouble. The police want to talk to me. Everybody wants to talk to me, especially Mommy. She wants to talk to me more than anybody. She holds out her hand, and I drop the souvenir in her palm, and she looks at it for a good long time before leaning down and kissing my cheek and telling me what a good boy I am, what a good, smart young man I have become. She gives me back the eyeball, and she tells me it's a good luck to She gives me back the eyeball and tells me it's good luck to eat the first one. I stick it in my mouth and chew, and it's rebelly and disgusting, and it's the best thing I've ever tasted. Better than Mommy's spaghetti, better than old hamburgers, better than the cheesiest pizza I've ever had. I swallow it, and it slides down my throat and into my stomach, and I pray it never leaves my body, that it stays inside me for the rest of my days. My little good luck charm before we leave. I collect my box of sheriff badges. I fantasize about filling up my own box with eyeballs. I wonder if people still see out of them when still disconnected from their heads. I wonder if Bobby's seeing the inside of my stomach right now. I wonder if he's enjoying the view. And as we rush out into the vehicle, I ask Mommy if she's proud of me. And she rubs my back and tells me she has never been prouder. Oh, Mommy, you're the best mommy a boy could ask for. I love you so much. And that's the GHOULISH Show. Thank you for coming out. We have books for sale. We will be around for a little bit. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm not going to interview myself. I do that enough time when I'm in the bathroom. All right, that's it. Have a good one.
Strike the pose.
How we do this, we're the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, you're so toothless. Cold hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to my music. Cold hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.